The story begins with Mike O'Donnell, a teenage basketball star practicing intensely. He is not just playing, he is practically soaring across the court, a magnificent sight to behold. The team's coach, Murphy, enters the gym with important advice for Mike. He tells Mike to conserve his energy because this is not just any game. It is the match that could define his entire future. A scout is attending the game, and a full scholarship is expected for Mike. The coach then calls for a team photo to commemorate the moment. But Mike, in a display of amazing friendship, insists they wait for Ned, the team's water boy. The other players are so dismissive of Ned, yet Mike stands firm, declaring him an essential part of the team. Then Ned Gold arrives, dressed in a wizard costume. He stumbles over his robe endearingly, causing the other players to laugh cruelly. But Mike, the best friend anyone could wish for, does not laugh at all. As the camera flashes, another player gives Ned a wedgie. Now it is game time, and the atmosphere in the gymnasium is positively electric. The Hayden Warriors cheerleaders perform a routine to energize the crowd. Mike, ever the showman, joins their dance, striking a pose for his adoring fans in a show of pure confidence. As he prepares for the most important game of his life, his gaze finds his girlfriend, the lovely Scarlett, in the stands. He immediately dashes over to her, enveloping her in a massive, heartfelt hug that is just so sweet. He even performs his special shooting pose just for her, a secret signal of their powerful love. However, Scarlett appears hesitant and worried, indicating something is wrong. Mike, being the attentive boyfriend he is, asks her what is troubling her, but she tries to evade the conversation. He gently persists, and she finally reveals some news so momentous it stops him dead in his tracks. The look on his face is one of pure shock. He is completely stunned, and you can see his world spinning. The game commences, but Mike's mind is a million miles away, lost in the gravity of Scarlett's revelation. He stands on the court, dribbling the ball without purpose. His teammates, his coach, and the entire crowd are in a state of total disbelief at his inaction. He then watches with a heavy heart as Scarlett sorrowfully walks out of the gymnasium. In that instant, he makes the most profound decision of his young life. He tosses the basketball over his shoulder without a second thought, a move that astonishes everyone watching. He races after Scarlett, leaving his entire basketball future behind in an act of pure, devoted love. The coach watches as the scout closes his notebook, signaling an end to his interest in Mike. Mike catches up to Scarlett and tells her with immense sincerity that he wants to be there for her. She objects, reminding him of his bright future, but he proclaims that their baby is his future now. She tries to depart, but he pulls her into a passionate kiss, sealing their shared destiny. In a sudden transition, he awakens in the present day, now an adult resembling Matthew Perry. The transformation is disorienting and feels surreal to him. He finds himself in the lavish home of his old friend, Ned. Ned, the former water boy, has become a wealthy technology billionaire. They sit for breakfast, and you can see Ned is still delightfully awkward, even with his fabulous Spock-like ears. They discuss Mike's current life, which has fallen into disarray. His estranged wife, Scarlett, has asked him to move out, and his children are distant from him. Despite all this turmoil, Mike holds on to a single thread of hope, a significant promotion at work. He is genuinely thrilled about it, believing it could be the one thing to turn his life around. Mike arrives in his office at Wyatt Pharmaceuticals, brimming with nervous anticipation. He sits in a meeting where his boss, Dean, discusses a new pharmaceutical product. The new medication is designed to provide a 4-hour erection. The room is filled with strikingly attractive women, with Mike being the only other man besides the boss. Dean finally mentions the promotion, and the excitement in the room becomes almost palpable. Everyone sits up straighter, their hopes soaring in this tense moment. Then Dean makes the announcement, and it is a crushing blow for Mike. The promotion is given not to him, but to one of the younger, more attractive women. While the women erupt in celebration, Mike is left completely dumbfounded. After they all depart, he confronts Dean, his frustration finally boiling over. He highlights his 16 years of loyal service to the company compared to the new hire's mere few months. Dean turns away to take a phone call, interrupting their conversation. In a moment of pure, unchecked fury, Mike yanks the Bluetooth earpiece from Dean's ear and smashes it against the wall. As the celebrating women file into the elevator, they ignore Mike, who stands there defeated with his life's possessions in a cardboard box. Whether he was fired or he quit, the outcome is that he is now unemployed. He then drives to his old high school, Hayden, a place that holds many memories for him. He walks onto the empty basketball court, feeling a sense of nostalgia. Mike gazes at the trophy cabinet in the hallway, his eyes resting on his own 1989 team picture. While he is reflecting, the school janitor approaches him. The janitor recognizes him, which surprises Mike. The janitor observes that Mike was a high school star who did not live up to his potential. He speaks of how people return to relive past accomplishments instead of focusing on the present. Mike concedes that he prefers the past because for him it was so much better than his present reality. The janitor then poses the most profound question. Would he want a do-over if he could have one? Mike responds with a heartfelt and nostalgic yes, a wish that hangs heavy in the air. The janitor simply smiles, a knowing and cryptic expression on his face. Mike's daughter Maggie arrives with her friends, interrupting the conversation. When Mike turns back to address the janitor, the man is gone. He informs his daughter that he is there to take her and her brother Alex for ice cream. It is clear they do not wish to go, but he practically forces them, desperate for some connection. At the ice cream parlor, the family sits in a tense silence. While other families are laughing and having fun, Mike, Maggie, and Alex sit in complete silence. His children seem unhappy to be there and are not engaging with him. Maggie is lost in her iPod, while Alex is totally absorbed in his PSP. Mike makes a desperate attempt to connect, asking Alex about trying out for the basketball team. Alex gives a brief answer while continuing to look at his gaming device. To divert the attention, Alex reveals that Maggie has been accepted into Georgetown University. Mike tries to offer his congratulations, but Maggie feigns not hearing him, even though her earphones are not even plugged in. The awkward interaction highlights the distance between Mike and his children. Later, he drops them off at home, and they go inside without speaking to him. He then spies Scarlett in the backyard, and what she is doing is simply devastating. She is putting his belongings into a wood chipper. Although their divorce is not final, she is disposing of all his possessions. She is so deeply angry at him for all the years he spent lamenting what his life could have been. He admits that he is disappointed with how his life has turned out. She angrily informs him that now they are finally free from holding each other back. With a cold finality, she tells him she will see him in court. When her friend Naomi arrives, there is evident tension between her and Mike. Naomi encourages Scarlett to begin dating again. Scarlett says a final farewell to Mike and retreats into the house, leaving him completely alone. Mike walks away as it begins to rain. While he is driving in the rain, his car radio begins to malfunction. The radio rapidly changes between stations on its own. As he drives across a bridge, he sees an unbelievable sight, a man standing on the edge about to jump. He slams on the brakes and shouts to the man, his heart pounding in his chest. The man turns, and it is the janitor from Hayden High, a shocking reveal. The janitor smiles at a surprised Mike. A truck suddenly speeds past, and in that split second, the janitor vanishes from the bridge's edge. Mike goes to the edge of the bridge and looks down into the water. To his utter astonishment, he sees a swirling whirlpool and a vision of his younger self reaching up to him. In the next moment, he loses his footing and plunges dramatically into the vortex. He arrives at Ned's house shortly after, wet and covered in mud. He gets into the shower to wash the mud off. Then he looks into the mirror and lets out a scream of pure, unmitigated shock.
He is no longer himself. He once again looks like Zac Efron did back in 1989.
Ned is awakened by the scream and springs into action in the most delightfully geeky way imaginable. He snatches a Spartan helmet and a battle axe, ready to defend his home from this intruder. Seeing the younger Mike, he instantly swings the axe, thinking he is under attack. They begin to tussle, with Mike desperately trying to explain the impossible situation. Ned is frightened and does not seem to understand Mike's explanation. Thanks to his newfound youth and agility, Mike manages to hold his own against a frantic Ned. The fight escalates into an epic lightsaber duel, which is just fantastic. To prove his identity, Mike recounts specific memories only he and Ned would know. Ned finally manages to get the upper hand and drops Mike to the floor. He is about to strike Mike with a picture frame when he at last sees the photo inside. It is a picture of the two of them at their high school graduation in 1989. The realization at last dawns on him, and he drops the frame in shock. The frame falls on Mike's head, knocking him unconscious. When Mike awakens, he and Ned try to understand the unusual situation. Ned, being the ultimate geek, cycles through a series of science fiction-related questions to diagnose the phenomenon. He ultimately concludes that it must be a case of spirit-god transformation magic. Mike concludes that the janitor must be his personal spirit god. Still in his oversized and dirty suit, he drives to Hayden High to find answers. He goes through the halls, asking students if they have seen the janitor. A custodian informs him that she is the only janitor employed at the school. After she departs, he spots his son, Alex, and tries to call out to him, but Alex just runs away. Suddenly, the lights begin to flicker ominously, and he notices a mysterious pool of water on the floor. He follows a trail of water to a door where a bucket and mop have been left. He peers inside the room and sees that it is the very same basketball court where his journey began. He returns to Ned's mansion, now believing he understands what he must do. He announces with total conviction that he knows what he must do now. He decides that his plan is to re-enroll in high school. Ned is doubtful and initially refuses to participate in the plan. Later, Ned introduces Mike to the principal as Mark, a new transfer student. Mike's fashion sense is atrocious. He is dressed like Kevin Federline, which he thinks is a good thing. While going to meet Principal Jane Masterson, Mike bumps into another student named Stan. The moment Ned lays eyes on Principal Jane, it is unmistakably love at first sight for him. Using forged documents provided by Ned, Mark is enrolled at Hayden High. Ned then attempts to flirt with Jane using his incredibly awkward charm, but Mike has to drag him away. As he walks through the hallways, other students make fun of his clothes. Seeing this, Ned decides Mike needs new clothes and takes him shopping. The next day, Mike makes a grand entrance in a flashy new sports car, looking impossibly cool. He wears a new outfit, and other students seem to notice the change. As he walks confidently through the school, the bell rings and the hallways erupt in chaos. He is pushed around by the other students in the crowded hallway. During class, he receives a phone call from Scarlett. She reminds him that he is late for their divorce hearing, which he had forgotten. He tries to lie, claiming he's out of the country, but the cheerleaders practicing in the background give him away. A cheerleader overhears and asks him for a date during the phone call. Scarlett's lawyer aggressively pushes for full custody of the children, but Mike argues back fiercely. He then sees his daughter Maggie enter the courtroom. He declares that he is closer to his kids than she thinks and asks the judge to reschedule the hearing. He waves at Maggie, who looks at him with confusion. Later, during gym class, Mike discovers that he still possesses all of his phenomenal basketball skills. His amazing performance immediately catches the eye of Coach Murphy, the very same coach from 20 years ago. Impressed by his skill, the coach invites Mike to the team tryouts. In the bathroom, Mike excitedly calls Ned to share the fantastic news about making the team. After hanging up, he discovers his son, Alex, duct taped to a toilet, a truly humiliating sight. Mike is absolutely incensed and demands to know who was responsible for this cruel prank. Alex miserably reveals that the basketball team did it, which comes as a huge shock to Mike. He cannot believe that his own son is so unpopular and a target for bullies. He introduces himself as Mark Gold, Ned's son, and begins to remove the tape. They go to the cafeteria for lunch, where Mike tells Alex that they need to look out for each other. Alex appears to have a crush on a girl named Nicole, who is the head cheerleader. The basketball team, led by Stan, then enters the cafeteria. They swagger through the cafeteria, pushing smaller kids aside and brazenly stealing their food. Mike is horrified to see that Stan is also Maggie's boyfriend, and he watches them kiss with disgust. Stan approaches their table and begins to push Alex. Mike immediately stands up for his son, refusing to let the bullying continue. He proceeds to verbally humiliate Stan in front of the entire school, calling him out for being a pathetic bully. While delivering this epic verbal takedown, he expertly spins Stan's basketball, adding flair to the moment. The entire school erupts and cheers, absolutely delighted to see the bully get a taste of his own medicine. Back at Ned's mansion, Mike expresses frustration about the state of his children's lives. He cannot believe his son is a punching bag and his daughter is dating the very person who torments him. He finally comprehends his spirit path and realizes he has been sent back to help his kids. He goes to Scarlett's house and finds Alex in the yard practicing his basketball shots. He is surprised to see that Alex is a skilled basketball player. Mike decides that helping Alex get on the basketball team is part of his purpose. Just then, Scarlett and Naomi arrive home, and Alex introduces Mike as Mark, Ned's son. Scarlett, who is a little bit tipsy, is visibly taken aback by Mike's appearance. She grabs his face and pinches his cheeks, remarking on his uncanny resemblance to her own husband. Naomi quickly drags her away, advising her to find someone new to hook up with. Mike accidentally throws the basketball at Naomi while politely telling her to stop meddling in a marriage. The next day in school, he walks into class to find Stan and Maggie locked in a passionate embrace. He separates them and takes a seat, and they appear irritated. The topic of the day is abstinence, and Mike wholeheartedly endorses it as a fantastic idea. He even suggests that everyone in the class should make a pact to abstain from sex. His passionate speech is met with a wave of amused giggles and totally incredulous stares. To emphasize the importance of safe sex, the teacher passes around a box of condoms. Mike is absolutely horrified by this, while Stan greedily snatches a massive handful. Mike proudly declares that he does not need any because he will only have sex with the woman he truly loves. He continues, saying that sex is for married people who want to have children. As he describes the profound joy of having a baby, he completely forgets himself, and the girls in the class are genuinely moved. They all start returning their condoms, inspired by his incredibly heartfelt words. Stan, however, takes more condoms and then kisses Maggie against her will. Mike, filled with righteous fury, launches himself at Stan, and a huge fight erupts. The fight is recorded on phones and quickly shared among the students. A humiliated Mike is sent to the principal's office with his father, Ned. Ned arrives dressed in what he believes is an impressive outfit to try and woo Principal Jane. He attempts his bizarre seduction techniques, but Jane is completely unimpressed and shuts him down. Later, Mike goes to Scarlett's house and finds her preparing to do some gardening. She leads him to the backyard and shares her wonderful plans to fix it all up. He accidentally calls her by her pet name, Scar, and she immediately notices the slip-up. He quickly volunteers to help her with the garden, eager to spend more time with her. A montage shows Mike training Alex, helping Scarlett, and keeping Maggie away from Stan. Meanwhile, Ned relentlessly continues his hilarious and charming attempts to flirt with Jane. After the tryouts, both Mike and Alex are selected for the basketball team. Scarlett is absolutely thrilled when she hears the wonderful news about her son. She shows them the finished backyard, which has been completely redesigned. Mike showers her with compliments and suggests she should start her own landscaping business. She seems pleased by his encouragement and support. She then reveals that she is going on a date that involves dancing. He sees her practicing her dance moves in front of a mirror and asks her to teach him. They begin to dance together, and their chemistry is just so palpable and wonderful. He asks her if she thinks she and her husband will ever get back together. She says with sad certainty that she is pretty sure they will not. Their moment is interrupted by Alex, who is understandably weirded out by the scene. He announces that her date has arrived, and it is none other than Mike's horrible former boss, Dean. Mike is absolutely furious and tries to convince Scarlett not to go, but she leaves with him anyway. Just as they leave, Stan arrives to pick up Maggie for a party. Mike, determined to keep an eye on his daughter, drags a reluctant Alex along to the same party. The party is at a bowling alley, and Alex is terrified to be there among the popular kids. Mike reassures him, reminding him that he is now a member of the basketball team. They spot Nicole, and Alex immediately wants to bolt, but Mike physically stops him. Mike gives him an inspiring pep talk, telling him that he is not a loser anymore. He gives Alex the final push he needs to go and talk to Nicole. While looking for Maggie, Mike gets cornered by 3 of her friends who try to entice him. He sits them down to give them advice, but they do not seem to be listening. As Alex nervously talks to Nicole, his pant leg gets too close to a candle and catches fire. Mike finally finds Maggie and asks her what she could possibly see in a bully like Stan. She reveals her plans to move in with Stan after he gets a job at Home Depot. Mike absolutely refuses to let her throw her life away like that. He angrily forbids her from seeing Stan ever again, which only makes her furious. The next day, at another basketball game, Scarlett is in the stands with the awful Dean. Mike sees Stan and Maggie making out on the sidelines, and his anger boils over. With only seconds left in the game, he faces a pivotal decision. He can either pass to an open Stan or to Alex, who's in the three-point zone. He makes the perfect choice and passes to Alex, who sinks the shot and wins the game for Hayden. After the game, Ned bravely corners Principal Jane and finally asks her out to a proper dinner. To help his son, Mike announces a party at his house, which is Ned's mansion. He then finds Maggie crying because Stan dumped her for refusing to have sex with him. He is secretly overjoyed, but consoles her with some genuinely heartfelt fatherly advice. She completely misinterprets his kindness and tries to kiss him, but he masterfully dodges her advance. At the party, Alex and Nicole finally hit it off, which is a truly wonderful moment. Meanwhile, at a fancy restaurant, Ned and Jane discover they are both gigantic nerds and bond over Lord of the Rings. Stan shows up drunk at the party and tries to apologize to Maggie, but she completely rebuffs him. Mike steps in and tells Stan to leave, but Stan insults Maggie, inciting Mike to throw a punch. Scarlett shows up looking for Alex, and Mike leads her to see her son happily kissing Nicole. She is so grateful to Mike for being a good influence, and in the heat of the moment, he kisses her. Scarlett is outraged and slaps him, storming off in a fury. He chases after her, desperately confessing that he is her husband, which only makes her angrier. Maggie then walks up and slaps him for being a pervert, followed by all of her friends. The next day is the divorce hearing, and Ned bursts in pretending to be Mike's lawyer. He is thrown out, but not before Mike yells that he has a letter to read from the real Mike O'Donnell. He reads a beautiful, tearful apology, telling Scarlett how much he loves her and how sorry he is for everything. He says he wants her to be happy, even if it means divorcing him. Scarlett is deeply moved, and after he leaves, she looks at the paper he was reading from. She sees that it is just a piece of paper with driving directions on it, and she finally realizes the truth. Later, she looks at Mike's 1989 photo in her yearbook and appears to come to a realization. The final basketball game begins, and it is a perfect mirror of the fateful game from the start of the movie. A scout is in the stands, and Coach Murphy is telling Mike this is his big shot. Just as the game starts, Mike makes that same special shooting pose directly at Scarlett. She understands the signal completely, gets up, and begins to walk out of the gym. It is the exact same situation, the same impossible choice he faced 20 years ago. This time, without any hesitation, he gives the ball to his son Alex and runs after his wife. As he runs down the hallway, the janitor watches him with a proud smile, his mission accomplished. Mike's vision blurs, and in a flash of brilliant light, he transforms back into his older self. He runs to the door and finds Scarlett waiting for him, and she asks if it is really him. It is Mike, her husband, finally back where he belongs. He tells her how much he loves her and promises to be the husband she has always deserved. She forgives him completely, and they share the most beautiful and heartfelt kiss. Alex goes on to make the winning shot for Hayden High. Mike and Scarlett walk out together, reconciled and ready to begin again.